Ladies and gentlemen, before I begin, let me ask you a simple question. Have you ever wondered why the people you admire the most all have a story of failure before their victory? Think about it. Every champion, every leader, every wealthy man, every influential woman, all of them walked through the fire of failure long before they ever tasted success. So today, stay with me till the end because I want to give you something powerful, a shift in perspective that will make you stop fearing failure and start using it. If you understand what I'm about to share, you won't just move toward success, you'll run toward it with confidence. Failure is the proof that you're in the game. Failure means you showed up, you tried, you stepped into the arena. Most people never fail because they never begin. They wait for perfect conditions, perfect timing, perfect confidence. But you, the moment you fail, you've already separated yourself from the crowd. You've taken the first step towards something meaningful. Failure exposes the truth you need to grow. Success is silent, it doesn't tell you what's wrong. But failure whispers, look here, fix this, strengthen that. It teaches faster than books. It humbles stronger than advice. It shapes you more deeply than success ever could. Every fall reveals a weakness, and every correction adds a strength. Failure gives you direction. We often think failure means we're off track. No, failure puts you on track. It's the world's way of saying, not this path, try the next. Not this strategy, improve it. Not this habit, replace it. Failure is a compass, not a verdict. It's correction, not rejection. Failure builds the character success requires. Success demands responsibility, discipline, resilience, patience. But these qualities aren't born on soft days. They're forged in difficulty. You grow stronger each time you rise. You grow wiser each time you learn. And you grow nearer each time you try again. Failure prepares you for the weight of success. Failure tests desire. Who really wants it? Everyone wants success. Few want the journey. When failure comes, some quit. But the ones who continue, they aren't just interested. They're committed. Failure is life's filter. It separates dreamers from doers and the committed from the curious. Failure creates the story that inspires the world. Nobody is moved by a perfect life. We are inspired by people who fell and rose, people who broke and rebuilt, people who lost and then won. Your story is being written in your failures. And one day it will become someone else's hope. So why must you fail before you succeed? Because failure is not the opposite of success. It is a part of success. It is the staircase, the training ground, the refining fire. If you avoid failure, you avoid success. So the next time you fall, don't think the journey is over. Think, good, I'm on the right path. Get up. I just continue. Your success is waiting. And failure is simply guiding you toward it. Failure is the first proof that you're trying. So most people misunderstand failure. They see it as a sign that something has gone wrong, a sign of weakness, or even a sign that they don't have what it takes. But failure in its truest form is none of that. Failure is the first and clearest evidence that you are actually in motion, actually showing up, actually daring to try. You cannot fail at something you never attempt. You cannot stumble while standing still. You cannot lose a game you never enter. And this is where the greatness begins. Every meaningful accomplishment in your life will demand risk. The moment you reach for something beyond easy, beyond familiar, beyond predictable, you step into the territory where failure becomes possible. But that's also the territory where growth becomes inevitable. You see, comfort is deceptive. It feels safe, it feels controlled, it feels stable. But comfort never produces greatness. Comfort never creates new skills. Comfort never pushes your limits. And comfort has never made a single person achieve what their heart truly desires. The first step out of comfort is the step where failure lives, but it's also where progress lives. So when you fail, don't treat it as a sign to retreat. Treat it as a sign that you're exactly where you need to be. Because here's the truth few people ever understand. Failure is not the enemy. Standing still is. Failure is not the danger. Wasted potential is. Failure does not harm you. Fear does. Think about the people who never made mistakes, never took risks, never stepped outside the familiar path. They may not have failed publicly, but they fail silently every single day. They failed to grow, failed to become more, failed to discover what they were capable of. On the other hand, the people who achieve extraordinary results are the ones who were willing to fall, willing to look foolish, willing to be beginners. They were willing to experience the discomfort that comes with doing something new. In fact, the moment you fail, you've already accomplished something millions never will. You started. Failure means you were brave enough to try. It means you had enough belief to begin. It means you cared enough to act. And that puts you in a rare category of people who are alive with desire instead of asleep with excuses. Think of a child learning to walk. Nobody scolds the child for falling. Nobody says, you fell 3 times today, maybe walking isn't for you. Everyone celebrates the attempts because the attempts mean progress. Each fall is evidence that the child is getting stronger, adjusting better learning balance, building the coordination that will soon turn those wobbly steps into confident strides. Adults forget this simple truth: falling is part of learning, and failing is part of succeeding. When you fail, you're not going backward, you're actually going forward, just not in the straight, smooth line people imagine success to be. Success has never been a perfect line. It looks more like a heartbeat, up, down, alive, dynamic, full of movement. Failure is proof that something is happening. It means you're testing your limits. It means you're expanding your capabilities. It means you're building resilience, the single most important trait every successful person possesses. Here's something powerful. Every time you fail and stand back up, you become a different person, a stronger person, a wiser person, a person more prepared for the victory you're working toward. People who have never failed are often the least prepared for success because they've never developed the strength to maintain it. Failure strengthens your character before success tests it. So when you face failure, celebrate it. Not because it feels good, but because it means you're alive in the pursuit of something better. It means you're on the path, not sitting on the sidelines. Your willingness to fail is the strongest sign of your willingness to grow. And your willingness to grow is the first requirement for greatness. Remember this, failure is not a setback. It is the starting point of every success story. Failure reveals what success tries to hide. One of the greatest misunderstandings in life is believing that success teaches you everything you need to know. It doesn't. In fact, success can be a very poor teacher. It praises you, it comforts you, it fools you into thinking you've mastered the game, even when you've only scratched the surface. Success can hide your weaknesses so deeply that you don't even realize they exist, until the day those unseen weaknesses become the very reason you break. Failure, on the other hand, is honest. Where success whispers, failure speaks clearly. Where success covers, failure uncovers. It reveals the truth about your habits, your mindset, your discipline, and your preparation. And if you're willing to listen, failure teaches you exactly what you need to know to reach the next level of your life. Think about it like this: when you succeed at something on the first try, your mind immediately assumes, I'm good at this. You don't question your approach. You don't correct your mistakes. You don't look deeper. You simply accept the win and move on. But what if that success wasn't the result of mastery, but luck, or timing, or circumstances that will not always be in your favor? Success can trap you in a false sense of security. Failure sets you free from that illusion. Let me give you a simple example. Imagine you're building a business. You launch a product and it happens to do well. Naturally, you feel confident. You might even feel unstoppable. But because it worked, you won't notice the weak marketing strategy behind it. You won't notice the cracks in your customer service. You won't notice the flaws in your product design. You won't notice the mistakes in your calculations. Why? Because success covered them. But what if you launch something and it fails? Now, suddenly everything becomes visible. You start asking the real questions. What did I miss? What wasn't strong enough? Where did I go wrong? What needs to improve? And in the process of answering those questions, you grow. You become sharper. You become wiser. You become stronger. Failure becomes the magnifying glass that success refuses to hand you. This applies to every part of life. Success says you're doing great, keep going. Failure says, stop, look here. This part needs work. Success wants you to celebrate. Failure wants you to correct. Success gives you the medal. Failure gives you the manual. The truth is, failure shows you your blind spots, the habits that need changing, the skills that need sharpening, the discipline that needs strengthening. And sometimes failure even reveals what you truly want or don't want. Many people chase goals they don't deeply care about. Failure reveals lack of passion quicker than anything else. When something truly matters to you, failure may hurt, but it won't stop you. When something doesn't matter deeply, failure will show you that too. And here's the beautiful part. Every time failure reveals a weakness, it also reveals an opportunity, because weaknesses aren't roadblocks, they're instructions. Failure doesn't say, you can't. It says, you must improve here. And if you're wise, you'll treat failure not as an enemy, but as feedback. People who succeed long-term aren't the ones who avoid failure. They're the ones who allowed failure to shine a light on their flaws early enough for them to fix them. They understood that every fall was a message. Every setback was a teacher. Every mistake was a mirror reflecting what needed to change. If success is the applause, failure is the rehearsal. If success is the victory, failure is the training camp. If success is the fruit, failure is the pruning. But here's the final truth, and it may be the most important: success hides weakness, but weakness always shows up eventually. If you don't let failure expose your weaknesses early, life will expose them later, when the cost is much higher. So embrace failure, let it reveal what you need to see. Because what failure uncovers today will protect your success tomorrow. Failure recalibrates your direction. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is believing that failure pushes you off track. They think failure is a sign that they've taken the wrong road, made the wrong choice, or aimed for the wrong dream. But failure rarely means you're on the wrong journey. It usually means you're on the right journey, but using the wrong method. Failure doesn't remove you from your path. Failure realigns you with the correct one. It recalibrates your direction the way a GPS recalculates when you miss a turn. Think about it this way: when you're driving and make a wrong turn, the navigation system doesn't say, "You failed. Stop the car. You're not meant to reach your destination." No, it simply recalibrates. It says, "All right, new route. Adjust. Continue." That's what failure does in your life. It doesn't cancel the destination. It corrects your path. Most people assume the path to success is a straight line. They imagine a direct road from effort to reward, plan to accomplishment, dream to victory. But real success looks nothing like that. The path is messy, it's unpredictable, it's full of dead ends, bad turns, mistaken choices, and unexpected detours. Failure doesn't mean the dream was wrong. Failure means the approach needs adjusting. Failure is feedback. Failure is information. Failure is guidance. Every time you fail, you learn something about the path you're on. What works, what doesn't, what needs improvement, what needs elimination. Failure gives you clarity you would never discover otherwise. Imagine you're building a plane. The first prototype doesn't fly. Does that mean humans are not meant to fly? Of course not. It means the structure needs reinforcement. The engine needs redesign. The wings need recalculation. The idea is still right. The method needs refinement. That is how life works. Failure doesn't say the goal is impossible. Failure says the strategy needs improvement. And this is where many people get it wrong. They fail once and immediately assume they're unqualified, unlucky, or unable. But they misinterpret the message. Failure doesn't say stop. Failure says shift your plan, shift your mindset, shift your habits, shift your direction slightly and keep going. Even airplanes don't fly in a perfect straight line. They constantly adjust, tiny recalibrations every minute. They drift off course, correct themselves, drift again, correct again. And with those thousands of micro adjustments, they eventually land exactly where they intended. Success in life works the same way. Failure is not a wall, it is a signpost. It tells you, not this way, try another. This action needs refining. This approach needs improvement. This habit isn't serving you. This method won't get you there. And sometimes failure reveals something even more powerful, that you're meant for a better path than the one you originally chose. Many people end up in careers, relationships, or goals that they would have never found if success had come too easily on the first attempt. Failure redirects you toward the door you were truly meant to walk through. In fact, some of the greatest breakthroughs come disguised as failure. A failed business leads you to the business that succeeds. A failed idea leads to the idea that changes everything. A failed attempt forces you to create the strategy that finally works. Failure is a master pointer, always guiding, always correcting, always refining. And here's the beautiful part. You don't need to know the entire path to succeed. You only need to know the next correct step. Failure reveals that step. Success makes you think you're already on the perfect road. Failure reminds you to adjust, improve, evolve, and sharpen your approach. So the next time you fall, don't say, "This is the wrong path." Instead, say, "This is my recalibration moment. This is the universe, life, experience, whatever you call it, giving you the exact information you need to move forward accurately." Failure isn't misdirection, it is correction. And every correction gets you closer to your final destination. Failure builds the character that success requires. If there is one truth about success that most people underestimate, it is this: success is heavy. It demands strength, mental strength, emotional strength, and character strength. And the surprising part is this: you don't develop that strength during success. You develop it during failure. Failure is the training ground. Failure is the gym. Failure is the furnace where character is forged. Most people want the reward without the responsibility. They want the victory without the discipline. They want the growth without the growing pains. But success has requirements, and failure is what prepares you to meet them. You see, success doesn't build you. It exposes you. It tests whether you were prepared long before it arrived. Many people rise quickly but fall even quicker, not because they lack talent, but because they lacked character, the character that comes only from walking through difficulty. Let's break this down. Failure teaches patience. Patience is non-negotiable for success. You can't grow a tree in a day, and you can't build a dream overnight. Success demands the ability to keep going when things are slow, uncertain, or frustrating. Where does patience come from? From situations where things didn't go as planned, from attempts that took longer than expected, from doors that didn't open immediately. Failure trains patience, the muscle that keeps you steady long enough to win. Failure builds humility. Success can make people complacent, arrogant, or blind to their flaws, but failure grounds you. It reminds you that you're a student, not a master, and humility is essential because humble people grow, improve, listen, and adapt. Failure says, you have more to learn, you have room to grow, you haven't reached your limit. Humility is strength, and failure is its teacher. Failure develops discipline. Success requires structure. It requires habits that keep you consistent even when you don't feel like showing up. But discipline doesn't come from comfort. Discipline is born in difficulty. Failure forces you to reassess your habits. Are you waking up early enough? Are you practicing long enough? Are you preparing deeply enough? Are you committed enough? When failure shows you what's lacking, you build the discipline to correct it. And it is discipline, not motivation, that carries people to greatness. Failure strengthens emotional resilience. Life will not always go your way. Success will test your emotions, stress, pressure, expectations, critics, competition. If you have not built emotional resilience, success will overwhelm you. Where does resilience come from? From setbacks, from disappointments, from days you wanted to quit but didn't. Every time you rise after a fall, your emotional armor becomes thicker, tougher, and more capable of handling what success will demand from you later. Failure builds courage. People think courage is the absence of fear. It's not. Courage is the decision to keep going despite fear. You can only develop courage in situations that scare you, situations where the outcome is uncertain. Failure gives you these moments. It pushes you into discomfort. It forces you to walk through self-doubt, embarrassment, fear of judgment, and fear of repeating mistakes. Every time you confront failure, you become braver. Every time you rise, you become bolder. Courage isn't built in comfort. It's built in trial. Failure tests your commitment. Success is not for the interested, it's for the committed. Failure is what separates those two groups. When things go wrong, the interested walk away, the committed go back to work. You can't become successful without a deep, unshakable commitment, and failure is what shapes and proves that commitment. The core truth: success does not transform you. Failure does. Success rewards you for the person you've become. Failure shapes you into the person required to handle that reward. If success came too early, it would break you. If victory arrived before you were ready, it would overwhelm you. If the blessing showed up before the character, it would collapse in your hands. Failure builds the foundation that success will stand on. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this preparing me for? Because every setback is strengthening you. Every challenge is shaping you. Every failure is building the character that success will one day demand. And when you finally succeed, you'll be strong enough to keep it. Failure separates the interested from the committed. There is a powerful truth about human nature. Everyone wants success, but very few are willing to pay the price for it. Dreams are common. Discipline is rare. Goals are everywhere. Commitment is scarce. And nothing exposes this difference more clearly than failure. Failure is the dividing line, the filter, the separation point. It's the moment where the majority quietly step back and a small minority step forward. Failure tests how badly you want what you claim to want, because it's easy to talk about dreams. It's easy to get excited when everything is going your way. It's easy to feel motivated at the beginning of a journey. But when difficulty arrives, when you stumble, fall, lose, struggle, or run into setbacks, that is when the truth appears. The interested get discouraged, the committed get determined. Interest is emotional, commitment is built on decision. Interest fades when things get hard. Commitment grows stronger. Interest says, I'll try. Commitment says, whatever it takes. And failure is what reveals which one you are. Failure exposes your real desire. Many people believe they want success until they experience the first obstacle. They imagine the rewards, the recognition, the progress, but they don't imagine the days when nothing works, the routines that feel repetitive, the sacrifices required, or the discomfort involved. When failure comes, it asks a simple but powerful question. Do you want the dream, or did you just like the idea of it? Because if you only like the idea of success, failure will intimidate you. But if you truly desire it, failure will motivate you. Failure forces you to make a choice. After a failure, you only have two options. Quit and tell yourself, maybe it's not meant for me. Continue and say, this is part of the process. This moment defines your destiny more than your talent, intelligence, or background. The choice you make after pain is worth more than the plan you made before it. The interested choose comfort. The committed choose progress, and progress always demands discomfort. Failure strengthens the committed. People often misinterpret the committed as fearless or naturally strong. They are not. What sets them apart is their relationship with failure. Instead of seeing failure as a signal to stop, they see it as a signal to learn, adjust, and try again. Failure doesn't weaken them. It sharpens them. Failure doesn't discourage them. It energizes them. Failure doesn't make them quit. It makes them more determined. The committed understand that failure is part of the journey, not the end of it. Failure reveals who's willing to pay the price. Commitment has a cost: energy, discipline, sacrifice, repetition, difficulty. The interested want the reward without the price. But the committed know the price is the proof you deserve the reward. Every time you fail and rise, you're paying a piece of the price. Every setback you push through is another installment. Every obstacle you overcome is a receipt of your commitment. And people who consistently pay that price eventually earn the success others only dream about. Failure shows you who you're becoming. There is something extraordinary that happens when you survive failure. You transform, you evolve, you develop resilience, grit, patience, and inner strength. You become someone who can handle success because you've already endured struggle. The interested want success to change their life. The committed know failure must change them first. That inner change, That character, that maturity, is what prepares you to manage the success you're pursuing. Failure filters out the unready. This may sound harsh, but it's true. Failure is not cruel. It is protective. It filters out those who would crumble under the weight of their own success. The truth is, not everyone is ready for the responsibility that success brings. Failure prepares you. Failure qualifies you. Think of failure as the audition room. Only those who endure the hardest parts get the role. The ultimate truth. Anyone can be interested. Interest is cheap. But commitment is priceless, and failure is how you prove it. So the next time something doesn't work, don't ask, why is this happening to me? Ask, how committed am I really? Because failure isn't there to stop you. It's there to separate you, to show that you're not just interested, you're committed. And committed people always reach the finish line. Failure creates the story that inspires others. Every person who has ever inspired you, every achiever, every leader, every hero, every champion has one thing in common: their story is not perfect. It is not smooth. It is not flawless. It is not a straight climb to the top. What makes their story powerful is exactly what tried to break them. Their story contains struggle. Their journey contains losses. Their path contains doubts, detours, and disappointments. And that's why you admire them. Nobody is inspired by perfection. We are inspired by people who fell and still got up. We are moved by those who were broken and still rebuilt. We are encouraged by those who failed and still tried again. Why? Because deep inside, we recognize ourselves in their struggle. We understand their pain. We see our fears, our doubts, our mistakes reflected in their journey. Your success may impress people, but your failures are what connect you to people. And this human truth is why failure creates the story that inspires the world. Failure gives your story depth. A life without failure is a life without substance. It's flat, shallow, untested. When someone who has never struggled gives advice, it doesn't carry weight. You may hear the words, but they don't land. But when someone who has been knocked down speaks, when someone who has lost, cried, suffered, and kept going speaks, their words carry energy. Their message carries truth. Their voice carries something deeper, credibility. Failure gives your story authenticity, the kind that can't be faked. Failure gives you the lessons others need. Every failure teaches you something valuable: a strategy, a mindset, a warning, a principle, a truth. These lessons aren't just for you. They become gifts you can offer others. The wisdom you gain from falling is the wisdom someone else needs to rise. Your setback becomes someone else's guidance. Your mistake becomes someone else's protection. Your breakthrough becomes someone else's roadmap. Your wounds become someone else's medicine. And that is the purpose behind many of the failures you face. They are shaping you into someone who can help others avoid the same pitfalls. Failure makes your success meaningful. A success story without failure feels incomplete. It feels too easy, too quick, too unrealistic. What makes a victory powerful is the struggle that came before it. Imagine a movie where the hero never suffers, never loses, never doubts, never struggles. Would you watch it? No, because it's not relatable. No character growth, no emotional pull, no transformation. Now think of your favorite stories, real or fictional. What do they all have? Struggle, loss, doubt, failure. The struggle makes the success satisfying. The failure makes the victory worth celebrating. Your story works the same way. Failure makes you a beacon for others. There are people facing situations right now that you've already survived. They feel alone. They feel hopeless. They feel like they are the only ones going through it. But when you share your story, the truth, not the polished version, something powerful happens. You become a light, a voice of hope, a reminder that pain can be overcome, that progress is possible, that failure is survivable. Your story becomes someone else's proof that they can make it too. Failure gives you a testimony, not just a timeline. Anyone can say, I succeeded, but not everyone can say, I struggled, I fell, I doubted, I failed, but I didn't stop. That statement inspires more people than any success ever will. Because what people really want is not a perfect hero. They want to know that someone like them, someone human, someone flawed, someone imperfect, made it despite the challenges. Your testimony carries more power than your timeline. Failure turns you into a leader. True leaders are not those who have never failed. They are those who failed and refused to quit. People follow strength, yes, but they connect with vulnerability. Your story, with all its tears, its battles, its losses, its lessons, is preparing you to lead someone, guide someone, teach someone, lift someone. Your story is becoming a survival manual for others. The final truth: failure doesn't destroy your story. It creates it. It gives your life weight, power, depth, relatability, strength, and purpose. The world is not inspired by people who never fell. The world is inspired by people who fell and rose anyway. So don't be ashamed of your failures. Own them, use them, share them, because one day someone will look at your journey and say, if they could rise after that, then maybe I can rise too.